Hi and welcome back to Political Fight. I'm Ezra.
And I'm Cameron. Today is a special episode of Political Fight. We will skip our weekly update and go directly to the interview due to our special guest.
Today we are very lucky to be interviewing the Sheriff of Los Angeles County, Jim McDonald. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show.
Welcome.
I'm very impressed with both of you and look forward to the questions you're going to ask.
How do you train officers to handle hate crimes?
You know, we take hate crimes very seriously in the county. We work with all of our law enforcement partners. We also work with community-based organizations that help us. The Anti-Defamation League is one in particular. To identify those that are out there and focus in their efforts on bigotry, bias, and hate. Where they cross the line and commit a crime, we take a report, we investigate it thoroughly, and when we present it for prosecution, we look for the potential for hate crime enhancements as well, which really holds somebody accountable, but also sends a message to others out there looking to do it, that we're not messing around, that this is something that is very serious to all of us, to our society.
Okay.
Some people feel police use of drones is an invasion of privacy. What are your thoughts on the use of drones?
You know, I appreciate the perspective that people have, and certainly it's something we all worry about. Our role as police in society is to protect the constitutional rights of everybody, but at the same time balance protecting those rights with providing for public safety as well. And so that's a constant tension that we have between public trust, public safety, and providing protection for everybody in our society. Drones are a tool. I think used appropriately with the right accountability, drones can be very helpful. We have a program, and when I use the term drones, we use unmanned aerial platform, or UAS, unmanned aerial system. The idea there is to be able to have constraints in place so that we're not using them for random surveillance of people in our community, but we use them for situations that are limited to tactical situations. So a bomb squad call out, you could send a UAS down to the device to be able to get a picture of what it looks like, so you don't have to send a person down there to do that.
Yes.
So if it explodes, you lose the device and the camera, but you've saved a life. And by doing that, sometimes you can rule out and take a look at it and say that no, that's in that box is not a bomb, it's a tuna fish sandwich, and so you don't have to do what you would ordinarily do, and you save a lot of time and also provide for protection for our people, but also for the community. I think it's important that the guidelines be very clear to everybody, that we hold our people accountable for using it appropriately, but I think used appropriately, it's a tremendous tool that provides an increased level of public safety for the community, as well as officer safety for our personnel who are dealing with some very volatile, dangerous situations.
I agree.
Thank you.
What are your largest policing challenges in Los Angeles County?
Our largest policing challenges, there are a number. This job is very interesting, very complex, very challenging. You talk about immigration. That's a big challenge for us here in Southern California, but also nationwide, something that's very politically charged. And again, we've taken a position on that where we try and balance public trust and public safety to be able to provide for the safety of all the residents of Los Angeles County and beyond. Recruitment, just us getting people in to be able to do this job, has been a tremendous challenge in the last several years, in that when you look at the conflicts we've seen across America between police and community, the media portrayal of police in our communities have created a situation where it has made it very difficult to try and reach out and get young people to choose us as a profession. So we continually work on that. We try and tell our story in a public fashion as best we can. When we're wrong, we accept responsibility and we try and be better for it, but to defend ourselves when we're not. And I think that's very important to do, to be able to set the tone for those potential candidates who want to come into this profession, that probably there is no other profession that I can think of where, with so little information, what you get over the radio in a black and white, you may get a call for a woman screaming for help or a man screaming for help with an address or maybe just a cross street. and you get out there and you have to deal with whatever it is, figuring a lot of different things out, protecting yourself, protecting everybody at the scene, and taking appropriate actions to be able to ensure everybody's safety. Uh, there is no other profession that I know of, a lawyer, a doctor, an architect, an engineer, that does something so critical for society that is potentially life-saving, with so little information available to them and with so little time to react as well. So our expectations of our people are very high. We try and train our folks as well as we possibly can, but at the same time it's a very dynamic job, and we need to be able to be supportive when appropriate for our people in the field as well. So recruitment is a big issue. You look at the opioid crisis across America that we're seeing today. California has not been hit as hard with that as some of the states have back east, but it's coming in our direction. When you look at the number of people that have died from overdoses of opioids or heroin, last year, almost 60,000 nationwide. I think we lost 35 or 36,000 people in traffic collisions. So when you look at the scale of the problem, it's certainly one that's very significant. We need to have an educational campaign that starts with our young people, to be able to educate them, let them know the dangers, let them know what to look for, and let them know what to look out for in order to be able to protect everybody that we work with.
Hi. Has police brutality increased over the years, or is it just that everyone has cameras on their iPhone?
That's a great question. Police brutality, you hear that term thrown around a lot. I don't know of another profession where part of the job is to use force to help prevent an escape, effect an arrest, or to defend yourself. That's part of the job. That never looks good. It never looks good on camera. It's the nature of what it is. But when used appropriately, it's a critical part of the job of protecting the community. When it's not used appropriately and the force that's used is excessive, then it's wrong, and sometimes criminally wrong. And so when you look at the systems of accountability that we've put in place, particularly here in Los Angeles, over the length of my career, which is a little over 36 years, I would say that we have grown increasingly accountable to the community over the years, that we've taken the use of force issue very seriously. We provide extensive training on it. We hold our people accountable, and we try and report as best we can to the community what we see, and as well as what we encounter. We maintain statistics to be able to show variations over time. Is it going up? Is it going down? And what kind of issues are we seeing? One of the challenges that on the street and in our custody environment, we're seeing and dealing with more and more people with mental illness. And when you respond to a call and somebody's mentally ill, or somebody's under the influence of alcohol or drugs, they're unpredictable. They don't know what they're going to do. And so oftentimes, more than we would like, we end up using force to be able to subdue them, to protect them, but to protect the community as well. And so there are increasing challenges in that regard. We try and de-escalate a situation whenever we can, to be able to get somebody to comply with us in a way that's peaceful, and be able to ensure that they don't get hurt, that the deputy doesn't get hurt, and that certainly nobody in the community does. And so that's something we're constantly working on, trying to be able to give our personnel skills and tools, and the ability to be able to negotiate and de-escalate a situation so that it works out as well as it possibly can. Most of the time, 90+% of the time, we're able to do that very effectively. But when we're not able to do that, and we end up in a use of force, certainly we hold our people accountable for the reporting of that. We investigate it very closely, and provide then for training, for discipline, for whatever it is, to be able to ensure that we're better off next time for having had that experience and learn from it.
Do politics get in the way of policing in Los Angeles?
Politics are part of policing. When you look at everything we do, we work for the public, and so politics are the environment we live in. We try and stay as apolitical as we can as far as our decisions. We treat everybody with dignity and respect, and to the degree that the situation allows for that, and we try and impress that on all of our people, from the time we start recruiting people, through the hiring, through the training, and through the day-to-day interactions that our deputies have with our rules, with our regulations, our policies and procedures, so that it's very clear what our expectations are to everybody. And that said, we don't live in a perfect world. It is one where we don't get people to agree on most anything we deal with in society. And today it's been particularly contentious on so many levels, dealing with politics in America. So yes, we do operate in a political environment. We try and be as objective as we can. We try and go out there and provide the same level of quality service to everybody that we deal with. But there will be people, for political reasons or otherwise, that have differences with the way we've delivered service, with what our posture is on certain issues. That's, I think, the beauty of America as well, is that everybody has the ability to exercise their own perspective, their own opinion, and be able to be vocal about that. We won't always agree, but hopefully we can always work together to be able to arrive at a peaceful solution.
As our country has become more militarized, so has the police. Do you think it's a bad thing, or have these new weapons helped? Technically.
That's a great question. I think we all want to be community policing officers, deputies, or organizations. We want to be able to work with the community as well as we can. We want to be approachable by the community. But at the same time, we have to balance that with being able to protect ourselves, being able to protect the public. And I think we only need to look at, 2 days ago, what happened in Las Vegas. The argument of, the fact that the police are equipped with trucks that have ballistic panels for protection, that we have weapons that are, long rifles, weapons that look like what the military would carry. We have Kevlar helmets, we have ballistic vests. Those type of things are not something we wear on routine patrol, but there's certainly something that were needed the other night in Las Vegas. There's certainly something that we need far too frequently on the streets of Los Angeles as well. So we have to be able to balance giving our people the tools necessary to do the job well and right and safely, and not coming across as an occupying force. And a lot of that is attitude, not equipment. But I think we only need to look at the incidents we've seen across America, that if we don't issue our departments and our officers and deputies with the tools they need to be able to be effective, we're going to see a lot of people get hurt unnecessarily. And so, while it's a challenge, it's one we have to always strike a balance. And that's really, whether we talk about politics or public safety, striking that balance is really what we're trying to achieve.
Are there many white supremacist groups in Los Angeles?
There are too many. I think one is too many. When you look at the challenges we face, and traditionally it's been street gangs. We also have an issue with white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Nazi lowriders. There's a number of different groups that espouse hate, bias, and bigotry in just the way they lead their lives. Our goal is to be able to monitor their behavior, to be able to hold them accountable when they commit crimes, when they try and hurt someone else, or when they're planning to do that. So we certainly take it serious. As I mentioned, that one is too many for somebody who's out there looking to hurt somebody else. And again, it's an issue of balance with our workload. We deal with white supremacist group, with gangs of every ethnicity. We live in a very challenging environment, and too often what we see is that the groups we deal with are bigger than Los Angeles. Many of them have transnational connections, and dealing with them is very sophisticated and very challenging. So it's, again, with limited personnel, trying to be able to strike the balance and do as much as we can with the resources we have.
Thank you for being a guest for Political Fight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show, and I wish you the very best of luck as you move forward. Thank you both. Very sharp guys, and I know you got a big future ahead of you.
Thank you
Thank you both.